And I was like, if you're gonna do that, then I'm gonna do it up for us.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I got so excited. And I'm like, we're gonna go do this, we're gonna go do that, we're gonna do this too. And she was like, Josh, let's just pick 2 or 3. You know, I know you want to do all these things, but let's pick 2 or 3 and do that. And I think those are the moments that are like underappreciated of like a woman.
Yeah.
You know, kind of, like I said, channeling it, focusing the energy. And yeah, I mean, I really like that about a woman that can do that, you know, because, and I try not to be difficult, you know?
Yeah.
Like I've like this whole week I've thought about it. Like, am I difficult to deal with? Like, if like there was a woman that was dealing with me, I'd like try to like play devil's advocate. Like, am I a difficult person to deal with? You know? And I want to say no. I really want to say no, but I don't know. You know, and
it's up to the person.
Right. How you doing, dog?
Doing good.
Oh, I'm kind of tired, bro.
Yeah, me a little bit too.
Yeah, hot yoga. Yeah, not.
Oh yeah, I did a hot yoga earlier.
Did
a circuits class in the morning. Did a vinyasa class in the morning.
How many classes you taking today?
4, I'm pretty sure.
4?
Yeah, well, vinyasa, circuits, hot yoga. So 3. But I did some walking.
What are circuits?
Circuits are it's a 45-minute exercise class, and that one's an ass kicker.
Oh, okay. It's circuits.
Yeah.
So it's like a nonstop.
Well, you do each exercise for a minute. So you'll do you start with your medium cardio, or mild cardio, and then you hop into the circuit and you'll do whatever array of exercises each for an entire minute. And then you'll do a plank or something in between, and then you go right around and you do the circuit again. So you do 1 minute of each of those exercises once again, then you do high cardio, then there's a whole nother circuit where you do 1 minute each exercise, plank again, 1 minute each exercise, then you do some core, and then you're out of there. So, I mean, you rush right through it, but man, is it brutal.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the OJS podcast. This is the homie Sebastian. What's up, Sebastian?
What's up, Jack?
How you doing, dog?
Doing good.
He is... Did I introduce... This is episode 7? I did say this is episode 7.
Not that I heard.
So I just zoned out. Bro, I don't...
said the name of the podcast. So...
I did say that? Okay, I'm going to redo it.
Okay.
Everybody, welcome back. This is episode 7 of the OJS podcast. This is the homie Sebastian. Thank you for joining me, bro.
For sure.
I appreciate you being here. He is one of our newly hot yoga instructors.
Yeah.
He's pretty dope. Sick guy. You're doing your 300 hour now.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, so he's doing his 300 hours. So like, what's the difference between the 200 hour and the 300 hour?
So the 200 hour, at least at Cambio, I mean, at different studios, it'll be a different training, whatever they want it to be, and it might have more or less things. But for Cambio particularly, the 200 is, and probably for a lot of other studios, it's at least just a foundational training to get you into being a yoga teacher. I mean, especially here, it's like, what is important to know just to be a teacher, just to hop out there and start teaching some classes? You probably want to know about the chakras, because people are going to ask about that, and you want to theme classes around it. Then you'll want to know a really great foundational sequence that you can teach. So they teach you a specific sequence that will allow you to build off of it and change it around whenever you do get into sequencing classes in different ways. And the rest is just community-based, just like Cambio, one of their big philosophies. But the 300 is a much deeper dive. There's some of the ancient yogic texts like the Bhagavad Gita, the sutras, the Pradipika. Those are some of like the really big yoga texts that if you really want to dive into this stuff more than just being your run-of-the-mill yoga teacher, like the way I like to think of it is there's being a yoga instructor and there's being a yoga teacher. And you can tell when the teacher weaves this theme into their class and might teach you something about the vayus or the chakras or something like that. Some of the teachers here at Cambio are so amazing at that. Like Missy Romero, have you taken her class? Like, she was one of the first people who really introduced me to Cambio, and I loved her classes because the way that she themed, she'd do each week is a chakra, each week is this or that, and she explained all these different things about yoga, so that when I took my 200 hour, then I was like, oh, I kind of already learned this in a yoga class, because she's actually teaching the yoga rather than just being an instructor. So I'd say that's what the 300 hour kind of gives you, besides, I mean, also just looks good on your name, I guess, to be a 500 hour teacher, but
yeah, because Katie was saying, like, in 300 hour, you have to come up with your own sequences, right? So that's probably where, because Amy does hot power fusion.
Yeah.
And it's not hot yoga, but it's not vinyasa.
It's right in between. Janine was saying that she wanted to do a workshop so that people could train and we could get more hot power fusion on the list, perhaps.
I like hot power fusion.
I like it too.
I like hot power fusion a lot. Amy tries to kill us in there, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, I took it with Scott before. Okay. I took my friend to it, and he was pretty open-minded in trying it, but I asked him how he felt afterwards. He was like, I do not know what this guy's obsession is with side planks. He was like...
No, Amy does the same thing.
Uh-huh.
Where we'll just be holding down dog for so long, and you start to question, like, your mental toughness after a while. Like, am I really, like, just being a sissy right now that I'm ready to just give up on downward dog, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's what's so great about the classes. I mean, finding that challenge in postures that we do all the time. I mean, downward dog is a tough posture for me too, especially when you're doing it, like, when you're doing the best form in a lot of the postures. Like, that's one big thing with hot yoga for sure, is it's a lot more challenging when you have a Bikram trained teacher, of course, but also just if you have a teacher who's even similar to that, who holds you to, like, come over and be like, hey, bend that knee more, lift this, do that, straighten this leg, and then they get you into this position where you're like, I actually feel the pose now, like, to a really high extent. But yeah, I mean, 300 hour, there is a nice emphasis on sequencing, which is pretty helpful, because sequencing, I feel like, is that creative aspect of yoga, but it's helpful to have people to guide you, because there's a big anatomical aspect and the theming. It's like, you want to make sure it fits with your theme, what you're putting in there, but you also want to make sure that it works with your body correctly, especially if you're trying to get to a certain peak pose that you're preparing for. But even the interns, like, after you do an internship here, then they can start sequencing just with the help of a mentor.
Okay, so they can come up with their own sequences?
They can. Once you become a 200 hour, though, if you want to teach here as an intern, then it's Cambio sequence for a little while.
Okay.
And you get a mentor, and the mentor will tell you, hey, you're good to start throwing this in or experiment with this. Like, they'll encourage you to start changing it up.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, because I start teacher training on Saturday.
Oh, yeah, that's the intensives this month, right?
Yeah, and I was talking to Kristen about it because I like her power vinyasa class.
I love her power. That's like one of my favorites, all-time favorites.
Her class, and I was like, yeah, I want you to, I was telling her, I was like, if it's possible, I'd like for you to be the person that's my mentor when it's time, you know? Because I really like the way she sequences things.
I love it too.
Yeah.
The way that she teaches her power class, like, she's taught me a lot about teaching a power class, but also the way that she makes it a power class is not just like, I'm going to throw you off of the deep end, do all this core. It's like, she is right there with you, and she gives you these long holds, but it all feels so intentional, and the way that she weaves in the theme, it's almost effortless. She makes it look so easy. She's like, my kid was just playing with blocks this morning. That's the theme. And then it's like, she does this whole crazy thing of weaving it in, and then by the end, you're like mind blown.
I Austin was like, slow down, because I was telling him as soon as teacher training is done, I want to do this and then I want to do that, and he's like, all right, let's just get through teacher training first,
Yeah.
and then once you finish, then we can talk about the internship and go from there.
Oh yeah. I mean, the teacher training is like it's a big block. Like, it feels not a block as in like a wall, but it's just like it's a thing in your life where it's like it takes time and dedication and some effort for sure. Yeah. And for me, definitely, like, mentally and emotionally, I'd say the biggest aspect of the teacher training here that's really helpful is the Sangha, like the group that you are with in your teacher training, the people who are on the same spiritual journey as you, all of you getting together and creating these bonds in this community. That really helps take you far, because you get to bounce ideas off of them. Like, they may be in completely different situations, like people that I'd never thought I'd become friends with or meet or know, and you get to like have kind of a deeper connection with them. So I feel like that's a really special part about it, because like, where else do you get to do that kind of stuff?
Yeah, and it's a classroom, but it's deeper than just sitting next to somebody and just learning something.
Not your typical college classroom,
right? Yeah, you're going to college, right?
Yeah.
Where you going to school?
Pikes Peak State College.
I went there for a little bit.
Oh yeah, what'd you go for?
Business and communications.
Nice.
Yeah. What are you studying?
It's a personal training preparatory course.
Okay. That's really dope. So then I guess that helps doing yoga. It
all lines up. Like, it's helped me, especially the 300 hour, one of the kind of modules we've learned. I mean, there's a lot of extra things, like the 300 hour, I guess, to go back to that question from earlier, like, what is it that it has besides the 200 hour? Like, the 300 is kind of the full picture. Like, you get to learn how to make a workshop, how to teach restorative yoga. And then another thing you learn is how to work with a private client. So that actually intertwines really well with the classes that I took at the college, because they've explained, like, these are the kinds of questions you should ask people, and this is how to kind of shift somebody's mindset around something to try and help them achieve their goals.
Yeah. So what made do you want to do personal training?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. What made you want to do that?
I think that it was just a certain point in my life where I had decided that I wanted to have more of a purpose. And during that time, it was like my rock bottom. Like, when I hit that point, that was what told me I need something. And the first thing that worked for me, which, I mean, I think nowadays there's a lot of people who might agree with this, like, the gym was a great outlet for me. It's like, when you don't know what to do with your feelings and emotions, it's just hop in there, do some bench press, lift some weights, and it feels so good. And I loved it. And I was doing full body workouts like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, pretty consistently, and I was paying more attention to my diet. I mean, it was like all just stuff that I had worked with my dad to put together, but somehow it worked. It was like most days I was eating just like one of those little Faye yogurts and a banana, and that was like, I'd have that in the morning. I'd have eggs and avocado toast in the morning, and then Faye banana in the evening, and maybe a protein shake, and then like something light for dinner. And I just did the same thing like most days, and it was kind of unintentional. It was just like that habit creation. Like, when you get on that rhythm, then it just becomes so easy to keep doing it. So I really enjoyed that feeling, and I had decided, I was like, well, I need something to do with my life, and I still don't know what it's going to be. So I figured, well, I like the gym, so let's do some personal training. Maybe I can teach some people, and by that extent, I get to learn about it too. It's like everything that I've gotten to learn in my personal trainer courses, it's like I get to actually use in my life for developing my own routines. Like, when I go to the gym with people, then I've been able to like kind of put routines together. Like, I've got a whole plan that Lexi and I are following, doing like kind of a whole calisthenics routine, and it's really fun. I mean, there's just an energy to the gym that you don't particularly get in yoga, but I mean, of course, yoga is like, if I had to pick the gym or yoga, it would easily be yoga.
Oh, see, that's how I got into yoga. So my first time doing yoga was down here, but I was a kid. I was like, when I went, I was like the only child in there, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I'm just in there, just moving, just trying to do whatever in there,
Mm-hmm.
And then I really started doing, because I didn't want to go to the gym. That's why I started doing yoga, because I was like, I'm not interested in lifting weights or anything.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, save all that for the birds. I'm not doing any of that. I swear. And so I was like, you know what? Let me just start doing yoga, man. And it was so good. I fell in love with yoga like right away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I wanted to do it. It was like in the mornings I'd wake up and I'm like, all right, let's do yoga, then shower, grab a smoothie, go to work. And then before bed, I'm like, I set aside 30 minutes, do some yoga, do my meditation, go to bed. So I just fell in love with it was a different challenge. The gym is the thing with yoga for me was, it's just it's more than just moving weights,
100%. The physical part is like just a fragment of what you're actually doing.
Right. And that led me into like focus, because when I really started doing like meditation, because I would struggle to stay focused on something. I would just bounce everywhere. My mind's just going everywhere.
I can relate with that.
And I would force myself at the end of a session, I would force myself to sit down for 20 minutes, whether I lay on my back and just be still with meditation music in the background, or just sit still for 20 minutes. Because I would play these mental games with myself where I'm like, bro, if you can't just sit still for 20 minutes a day, how are you going to focus on anything?
Yeah.
And it helped me so much naturally, just with like moving through life, where I was able to at work then like just sit still, stay on task. My mind's not bouncing everywhere, and I loved it. It just became like, it slowly stopped being like a mental game to just being a part of my routine, where I'm like, okay, let me set my timer for 20 minutes. This is my 20 minutes to sit still and do nothing, to let my body reset, to let my mind reset, and sometimes doing nothing is doing something.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it definitely is. I mean, with meditation, especially, it's, I think there's studies about like getting more gray matter in the brain or something like that from doing more meditation. I mean, it just gives you a much clearer head. And yeah, like you mentioned, it really helps with that focus for sure. That's something I've been especially getting into lately, but just a big aspect of what I've loved about becoming a yoga teacher, because something that my dad had mentioned to me before is sometimes the goal is the obstacle in a way. Like sometimes the goal is that challenge. And I feel like for me, that's what it's been with yoga, where it's like, I know that this is going to be so tough for me to become a yoga teacher, and that's why I'm going to do it. And that's what's made it such a fun journey too, because it's just like challenge after challenge after challenge, and you're just testing yourself in all these different mental ways. And that's what I feel like on the mat. It's like an exploration of your own mind and your body, and same through meditation. It's like testing your limits and seeing what makes your mind tick and feel this way. And then cold showers. That's another one that I really got into for a while. I did cold showers for like 30 days straight, which was a pretty big accomplishment for me. I mean, I know there's guys out there who do like, yeah, thanks. I know there's a bunch of guys out there who do cold showers like all the time, like it's just a way of life. And then there's people out there who also don't have access to hot water, and it is a way of life. But that was actually a little aspect of it. I was like, hey, if I ever go, somewhere else where there's not hot water, I'll be at least kind of accustomed to it. And overall, it was kind of a way to test my mental discipline and see like, what do I do when I face this kind of challenge, and what are my mechanisms of coping with it. And it's a really interesting exploration. I feel like it's the most fulfilling kind of exploration is on this yoga path.
Yeah. I really like what you were saying about the goal is the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
That is, I never really looked at it like, well, I guess when you set the goal, you say, this is a challenge, and I want to like take it off or take it down. So I just never put it the way you put it before.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to think about. And that's pretty much what yoga's been, is just challenge after challenge. Like,
like I was told, the top of the mountain is the bottom of the next one.
Yeah,
You know?
That's some really, reminds me of some really insightful stuff that Austin has told me, is you never really want to reach your peak in your life. Like, you'll have these, I guess, little mini peaks maybe, but the goal is to keep going up, and even when you go back down, it's not like this. Instead, you're going like that, and then you're going back up.
Yeah,
so it's like you go up a lot, you might go down a little bit, you go back up, and it's like you're gradually doing this and getting higher and higher. And something that I really live by and think about a lot is the idea of, I mean, it's kind of cliche because everybody talks about like baby steps, like little steps, but a step each day, kind of a visualization that helps me and that I think about it a lot is, even if it's just one little baby step a day up this mountain, a year from now, or 500 days, you'll have 500 steps up that mountain, and then you turn around and you look at all the footprints up that mountain, and you'll see like, I actually climbed pretty far. And that's a pretty interesting thing to think about. Or another idea is just 1%, like getting 1% better every single day. Even if you just do one little thing, it's a reminder that you're doing a good job. Like, we're here to just be humans and live our lives. Like, we're meant to have these mistakes and these challenges, because that's just part of this life.
Yeah. No, I see. So you were telling me you really like Carl Jung.
Yeah.
So I've listened to like a few videos with, his perspectives and shit on life.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to ask you, like, what about him do you enjoy so much?
I'd say it's the shadow work specifically. I mean, he's someone that I need to delve into more. Like, I like his work that I've listened to, but admittedly, there's definitely a lot more I could listen to. It's been a lot of different videos describing his philosophies and ideas, but the biggest one that's been really important for me is his idea of shadow work. I mean, because he was kind of like one of the big people who started a lot of ideas in psychology, and he has had a lot of ideas of kind of different parts of your personality. I think there's like a hero, there's like all these different ones, but one of them is the shadow. And have you heard much about that? Just a little bit.
Yeah, talk to me about it.
Yeah, so it's like, so you know how everything in the universe pretty much is like, it's a part of nature. There's good, there's bad, there's hot and cold, just opposites. And there's also the concept of light and dark. And that's like, we all have this light in us that most of us share in whatever different ways, but every single one of us also has a dark side too. And that's just part of being human. It's like, as much as we'd like to say like, oh, I don't have any of that darkness, I'm a good guy, here's all light. There definitely is that still there. I mean, the whole idea is that every single person has the capacity to do the best good and also the worst, like the worst bad, I guess. And that's kind of where the shadow comes in, because it tends to be the pieces of someone's personality that they reject a lot, or It might be pieces that someone just doesn't really like about their personality. But what's so interesting about the shadow to me is that there's work that can be done to cultivate a relationship with your own shadow. So depending on what kind of personality your shadow has, like maybe it comes out in some form of anxiety or not enough self-worth or anger or anything. It could be anything that you don't like. And that's because it is longing for something. Like maybe you had a traumatic experience in your childhood that leads your shadow to feel that way. And underneath those feelings, it could be deep sadness or resentment or something. So once you're able to work through that, then you can actually live in tandem with your shadow and have these two pieces of yourself that work together. And your shadow actually has good aspects too. When you have that piece of shadow with you, like there can be shadow in like humor or probably lots of other things. I mean, I'm sure the information's out there about even more things that involve the shadow, but yeah, kind of the main point is developing a relationship with your shadow, because when you press the shadow away a lot, then that's when it tends to come out in even worse ways than we like. It's like I'm sure a lot of people, I'm sure you've experienced it, I've experienced it for sure. It's like if you try to repress a piece of your shadow or personality, then as soon as something triggers it and gives it that tick, then it just comes out like way worse. It's like the dam just exploded.
Yeah, I know about that for sure. Yeah, I know all about that shit. Crap, man. Yeah, I definitely I feel like that's where like learning to channel it properly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's like the way I see like the shadow side is you've seen the movie Venom?
Yeah, I've seen Venom.
And you know when Tom Hardy's character is tied to the table and Venom's trying to come out?
Oh yeah.
And it just looks like,
yeah.
You know what I'm talking
yeah,
about? And it looks insane.
Mm-hmm.
It looks insane. That's how I think of the shadow.
Oh yeah, I kind of think of it that way too. I mean, just the comic book character Venom is like a pretty good example of like that shadow self, because it's like a little alien creature from a different planet that hops onto him, and it's like all the anger. I mean, even when it goes on Spider-Man, he's like, it basically is Spider-Man's shadow when he has it.
Yeah, and it's like that dark energy that you need dark energy because that can be a force that like light may not quite be able to like push you to. Yeah. You know, like you need that like propulsion that the dark energy gives you.
Yeah. Sometimes you need a piece of both. Like I feel like you need a little bit of craziness. You need a little bit of shadow. You need a little bit of light. Well, I think you need a lot of bit of light, and then you need
you got to indulge in a little craziness.
Yeah, I think it's all right.
Indulge in it from time to time, because the word indulge means, you know, it's a bit excessive.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I mean, even like I would say last summer, I definitely was trying to channel it, you know, towards the gym.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it just felt like a well. That's all I could focus on until I could finally balance it. You know, I would just kind of use all this stored up dark energy. It's not negative energy. It's just dark.
It's just that shadow energy. I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about. It kind of the first time I really tapped into it was, well, probably not the first time. I mean, I'm sure I've used it for all sorts of things, but like that I really started to understand it was the gym as well. And cold showers was where I started to kind of train it like a dog trainer or something. It's like, let's give it some positive reinforcement. Let's see what it can do. Let's give it a try. And it's kind of fun to learn different aspects of your shadow. Like I've had friends who are like, my shadow is like cold and ruthless, and that's the negative aspect, but it's got this other piece. So I'm like, that's cool. For me, my shadow is just like a sucker for pain, maybe. Like,
you one of them.
It's just like as soon as as soon as I throw my shadow into like the workout or whatever it is, then it's like, let's just, it's already hard. Let's just make it as hard as possible. Let's just go like all the way in. So it's an all in kind of shadow, but it's like when you pick apart pieces like that, if you can like find the understanding, it's like once I started to realize that, then I thought about, well, how could I channel this shadow? It's like, if it's all in, what if I use this all in for other pieces of my life? Like, what if I use that shadow energy and it's like, well, if I'm gonna, go do this for this job, I'm gonna do it the best possible. Or like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go completely all the way in and do my 100% best. It's like, I could cultivate that shadow to just like live my life to 100%. So there's definitely rewards on the other end of like becoming friends with your shadow, I feel like. And
yeah.
There's still more to go. I mean, I think it's just a lifelong thing.
So what would you say are like some of your traits when like you feel yourself tapping into that? Like, what are some ways that you behave when, like you said, you're a sucker for pain, or,
Mm-hmm.
For me, it would be like kind of shut down.
Mm.
Some people just bring it out.
Yeah.
Me, I think I go the opposite, where I just
Oh, interesting.
store it all inside,
Yeah.
but then it explodes.
Oh, yeah.
Some people can just, they feel it, goes out, feel it, goes out, feel it, goes out.
Mm-hmm.
Where for me, it feels like storing up kinetic energy. I just take it, and then it's just like condenses, and then boom,
It comes out huge explosion.
explodes.
Yeah.
That
was actually, it's funny that you say that, because I think that was a big fear of mine, like when I was first kind of learning about the shadow, because that is similar to my shadow in a way of, well, maybe not exactly the same, but I had a lot of repressed anger and sadness, and anger and sadness kind of go hand in hand. Like underneath the anger is sadness.
Yes.
And
yes.
But for me, I was like, I had just this huge pool of anger in my third chakra. Like there was so much in there where I was like, okay, well, my shadow is like all in. So I'm like, as soon as I get upset at something, or like, it's got to be if it's the wrong day, then I felt like I was just going to completely like do something I'd regret. And that was why like I had realized, wow, I really need to kind of sort this out and pay attention to what I'm noticing here, because I don't want to live in almost in fear that my shadow is going to explode like that, because that was what I was it's like what we were talking about with when you repress it, then it comes out even more. That's how I felt, like that my shadow was repressed for so long that if it were to come out, like it would just take the right thing to just like let all of this anger loose. And I knew I needed some sort of other better release. And luckily I have a friend who has been doing kickboxing like since he was really young, and he taught me a little bit of kickboxing, and I still do it sometimes. That was a helpful outlet, and also yoga and meditation. Like they are actually a surprisingly good outlet for it, because past some of the anger that I've dealt with just through the self-work, then it's helped me get through some of those tears. Like teacher training, definitely quite a few tears have been shed, and classes, it keeps going further and further, and I don't think it ever ends.
Yeah. For me, bro, I keep looking for wrestling clubs, bro.
You like to wrestle?
I used to wrestle as a kid, and I've looked, and dance clubs too.
Oh yeah, I've been trying to find a good dance one,
bro. I love to dance, bro. I love to groove and move, and I keep trying to look for dance clubs and wrestling clubs. And then Dakota, he used to come here often, but he does jiu-jitsu right up the road. And I was like, maybe I'll look into jiu-jitsu for the summer too.
Is that what is it called? BF's boxing?
No, not BS boxing. So the jiu-jitsu one is just
Oh, is it
right over there.
Kraken?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So I was like, maybe I'll look into jiu-jitsu but I loved wrestling. Like, I loved wrestling. Wrestling was, because wrestling is not so much, sometimes it's not really about force with wrestling. It's like, I would say wrestling is more like waterbending. Did you ever watch After Last Airbender?
Yeah.
Wrestling is more like waterbending.
Mm.
You know, it positioning, being very fluid. You have to be very fluid and speed.
Mm.
You know, get to the position quicker, and then you need strength. You know, because someone can break out of a hold, but you could just go for a lot of points. You know, takedown after takedown, single leg, double leg takedowns, and yeah, I just remember I had a moment where I was like, you know, like life feels more like a dance and wrestling match at the same time. Mm-hmm. You know, you have to be able to, you know, when something happens to you, instead of just like stopping and being rigid, just be able to like flow with it, move around, shift your weight, you know, just kind of flow around, you know?
Yeah.
And you it's so weird how many lessons are learned through. It's not weird, but I feel like as we're getting older, we start to kind of like, you find lessons in just things that seem a little mundane and boring, but you know, there's a lot of lessons to be learned in sports, you know, activities that you do.
Oh yeah. There's lessons in everything. I mean, I've been a firm believer of that. I mean, before I was a yogi, I didn't really know what I was going to do with my life. It was, I mean, because high school certainly didn't have any answers for me. It was, no, I mean, I was never the type of person who really fit into a niche. Like there's the sports people, and then there's the study people, and everybody kind of forms their cliques. And for me, my clique was just like, don't really want to be here clique.
Oh no.
Yeah, struggling to find myself, and you know, school definitely doesn't help that, because everybody else is still trying to find themselves, so nobody really knows what's going on. For a lot of those years, I resorted to things like smoking weed and playing video games and all these unhealthy coping mechanisms, but in a way, they were what I needed at the time. Like, they were what I needed to go through, and some would say that some of those hours are wasted, but also you can look at it in the way of it happened exactly the way it was meant to, and there's a lesson in that too. Like some people, it takes many, many years just to learn one lesson, or you learn the same lesson like 4 or 5 times. I mean, that's happened to me with dating.
Bro, I'm trying not to touch on that today, bro.
No, let's not get into that.
Let's not do that today. Let's not do that, bro. Let's not, all right? I want to ask you, though. What, like in high school, what really was the underlying reason that you were feeling the way you felt in high school? Like, of like feeling out of place?
I'd say I just felt like more of an outcast. Like there was, I think after middle school, then that was when I started to create false beliefs in my mind about not being worthy enough to kind of enjoy the gifts that I have. And I shoved them to the wayside for a really long time, denied my true self, and anything that I'd use as a coping mechanism would be the thing that would bring me from not enough to just enough. And then as soon as I would be done with like playing a game or getting high or whatever, then I'd go back to I'm still not enough. And then it'd be like, I need this thing to make me feel like enough. And then I go back to not enough. So it's like the worst cycle. And I'd say that was a big feeling for it. And also just everyone in high school, like, I mean, I knew ever since I was a little, like, for as long as I can remember, like, I was never really a big, like, let's figure out this huge path to like go through college, to do this, to do that, to do this. I'm like, I kind of just want to flow and see where my life goes. Like when they'd ask me what I wanted my job to be as a little kid, I'd say like, I want to be a barber so I can give them like kids little lollipops, because I always like getting lollipops. I was like,
When that was the first thing you wanted to be was a barber?
but it wasn't to cut hair. It was to give them the lollipops. Yeah, I didn't even want to cut hair.
Okay.
But I guess that was just kind of like my philosophy on life. I was like, I just want to have fun giving the lollipops to kids. But yeah, and I still felt that way like as I grew up. Not that I wanted to be a barber, but that I wanted to do something that I cared about at least. And I just felt like there was kind of a default path that I was like, sure, it seems enticing while I'm in school, but also it's like, it doesn't really seem like it's like, I want to do something different. You know, it's like, I could be a sports guy and do all the sports things and, you know, hang with all the jocks and have the girls and stuff like that. But all that stuff is kind of just temporary. And then once you're out of school, it's like, where do you go next? I mean, I've had plenty of friends who are kind of still in high school mentally, and it really shows. It's like some pieces of yourself can get trapped in the past. And that was like, in terms of my shadow work, that was something that happened for me. Like, I had a lot of pieces of myself that were trapped in the past, and I'm a big believer in feng shui. You know, like the way that things are arranged, and there really is an energy behind the placement of items. And you'll know if you ever clean a garage, if you ever cleaned a garage or cleaned your garage,
put together
like
spaces.
Yeah, like
With intentional placing of everything.
Oh yeah, I really like that too. Like, I mean, just the way that this place is arranged, like there's a spacious feeling. And when things get really cluttered, and especially depending on who puts what where and what kind of item it is, like it can really have some serious emotion attached to it. Like I felt that before. Like I got really pissed off and then started crying just cleaning my garage. It's like, I did not think any of that was going to happen, but it really does. And then some of the biggest shadow work for me was just cleaning my closet, because it had all these artifacts basically from like most of my life, of clothes I used to wear, things I used to do. It's like all these things that kind of subconsciously, it's like the idea that everything we do on the yoga mat is how we do everything in our real life. I feel like it's the same way with a lot of things. Like in my closet, it's like any of the old items that I'm holding on to, it's like subconsciously I think I'm holding on to those old memories of things in my mind just by having that around. So when you get rid of it or donate it, then you let go of it. So it's doing that practice of aparigraha, the non-attachment. And
Is that what is it?
Aparigraha, it's the
Graha.
yeah, the Yamas and Niyamas. Have you heard much about those yet?
No.
You'll definitely get into those in teacher training. I kind of need a better way to like describe what they would be in like English. I mean, I guess I've heard them as like the yoga do's and don'ts, but that's still not the exact like what it is, but I'd say it's the best way to kind of, you know, get the gist of it. Like the Yamas and Niyamas, they're placed in a specific order of what's most important. It's just like ways of living. You know how there's like, I think in the Bible, is it like 10 commandments or something like that? And in a lot of religions and philosophies, there's some form of that. For yoga, it's the Yamas and Niyamas, where you start with, on the Yamas, it's, this is going to be a test if I can remember them all in the right order, but it's, for the Yamas, it's ahimsa is the first, most very important one, that is non-harming. So your non-harming could look like the most obvious, like obviously you're not going to go kill somebody, but also non-harming is in you're not harming yourself or harming, I guess whatever you would think of as non-harming. And then next is satya, which is truth. So being truthful in everything that you do. And that can be many things, but also even when we do like a lie by omission, I feel like that can be kind of going against the truth. And being true to yourself is another aspect of satya. Being true to others, it could be truth as in like giving someone feedback on a class where it wasn't that great, but you still got to tell them, which that's a big struggle for me because sometimes I can't even pinpoint. I'm like, I didn't really like that class, but I don't know what it was. So I'm like, I feel really bad just saying that I didn't like it, but there was something that was definitely off. And then I'm just trying to remember the right order. I may mess up what the order is. I think the next one, it's either Asteya or Santosha, but they're both in there. So I'll just say Santosha, which is contentment. And that is, I mean, that one's pretty self-explanatory. It's just contentment with your life and the way of things and not feeling like there's a need for more or just anything to change. It's like things are fine the way that they are. And then Asteya is non-stealing, and that one's really interesting. It's non-stealing from others. I mean, I feel like that's the most obvious one. It's like, don't steal. That's bad. But not stealing time, like that's a big one for being a yoga teacher that they mention a lot, is like, you don't want to steal people's time, so you want to end on time. Or you don't want to steal an experience from somebody by doing it for them or something like that.
I see.
Yeah, and then the last one, I believe, is of the yamas is aparigraha, which was what we had just talked about, non-grasping. So not grasping at things in life could look like many things, but I mean, I feel like that's also another one where it's kind of self-explanatory, but it can it's simple on the surface, but there's a lot of aspects to aparigraha. That's been a really big one for me lately, especially like, you know, still don't want to delve into the relationship stuff, but like when it comes to relationships, there's kind of a like what I've been working with lately is that there's kind of such a preconceived idea of like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, and it's like in these things, then you have all these pieces that fall into a category. So it's like, rather than being like, you know, Sebastian, then I'm like, I'm boyfriend, and these are the things that make me boyfriend. But instead, using that non-grasping is saying like, I'm not going to grasp to like this certain belief or this feeling of like that you have to be any sort of way. And kind of a good trick that, or at least like somebody I asked in my 300 hours, she seemed like she was like so knowledgeable on it. I brought up, I was like, this is how I'm feeling, there's a lot going on. And she was like, oh yeah, when I got married, like this is what I did. I have this kind of relationship. And she said that she sees it more as like a partnership, which I kind of like that idea. Rather than boyfriend and girlfriend, it's like, you're not putting that label on it and you're not putting that expectation. But that's kind of a sidebar from the aparigraha, which, but I'd say aparigraha, like the biggest place where you see it is in relationships for sure. Cause it's like, how can you practice non-grasping when it's like you're kind of also grasping to this attachment of this relationship with a person? So it just involves being really mindful about your, like the way that you go about the relationship. It's like, I think you can still have one and still practice the yamas and niyamas. You just have to be very mindful about it. So yeah, I hope I didn't butcher the order. I know that it's definitely Asteya, Satya, and then, not Asteya, Ahimsa, Satya, and it's either Asteya or Santosha next. I think it might be Asteya and then Santosha and then aparigraha. And then the niyamas starts with Saucha, which that one's been a really big one for me too, because that's purity and purity or cleanliness too. So cleanliness of the body, cleanliness of like purification of the inside and the outside of the body, as well as purity of the mind. Pretty much everything that you can imagine. It's like it goes so far beyond just physical cleanliness, but also that's a really big aspect of it, of the feng shui, the space and the flow of the energy there. And then what's the next one? I feel like I need my phone for this one. I don't know if I could go all the way through them.
No, we don't have to go.
We don't have to go all the way through.
Yeah,
we'll stop there, but I mean, you kind of get a broad idea of what the yamas and niyamas are, and yeah, what we kind of got on a whole tangent of those.
Oh no, let's stay on this. So
yeah,
I watched this video with Jordan Peterson talking about truth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very powerful video for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the little white lies that you tell.
Yeah.
That like add up over time. And I go to therapy, and I've told my therapist at this point everything.
Mm-hmm.
But, even it took me a while. Well, it didn't take me a while. There were some parts that I wasn't telling. And it's funny because I watched this video with this divorce lawyer, and he was talking about people who lie to their therapist, people who lie to, their friends, family members, people around them, but they won't lie to their divorce lawyer.
I watched a video with a divorce lawyer. Maybe I don't know.
Sexton.
And maybe it was that guy. Was he talking about like prenups and?
Yes,
I think that might have been it. Yeah,
yes.
I'm pretty sure.
Did you watch the soft white underbelly one?
I think that might have been the one.
Well, he had a white top, tattoos.
Okay, I'm not sure. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but it was really interesting knowledge about like.
Dude, no, it's probably James Sexton, because that dude has been making a run on podcasts lately. That man in the last year, I don't even want to count how many podcasts he's done, and I've watched like a lot of them. The one with the soft white underbelly, I watched it multiple times. That's the relationship aspect part that I'm like, I don't want to talk about that part. But the whole prenup thing was fascinating. It was fascinating because even for me, like since I was a kid, I was like, yeah, if I'm gonna get married, it's strictly gonna be because like we're in love, or to me, I'll come back to that. Compatibility versus chemistry. I want to come back to that because those are two things that I've like tried to live by for a long time.
Yeah.
But with the Jordan Peterson and him talking about the truth, and he was like, even when it hurts, even when it's scary, you have to tell the truth. Now, there's multiple ways to tell the truth. Like, instead of saying you were acting like a bitch, you can say you were being unbearable. It's telling the truth, but you're not being an asshole.
Right.
Right now, he was also saying sometimes you just gotta be you gotta be an asshole.
It does happen.
But he was like, just tell the truth all the time, even when it's scary, even when it's not the move that you want to make. Long term, you will live a more fulfilling, a better life, a clearer head from telling the truth. So after I watched that video, I was like, shit, I need to talk to my therapist about something. Because I'd gotten fucked up multiple times. And it doesn't affect my therapist, And, well, I didn't get fucked up, but I just, I got fucked up, actually. But I finally was like, okay, I think I just need to tell my therapist, like, yeah, I've been, doing dumb shit, drinking or, tripping and shit. My head hard. It takes me a while to, like, finally come around and go, okay, I think I'm over this. I'm ready to move on to the next phase,
Yeah.
And my therapist and I had been talking about, how am I doing? I'm doing good. And I was, but I was still like drinking and shit, like, or whatever. And I finally was like, yeah, I've gotten fucked up a few times, A girl would do it to you, bro. You know what I'm saying? A girl would do it to you. The most convincing thing in life, bro, I swear, makes you a woman or pain, bro. Those two things will force you to change shit real quickly. And desperation. Desperation, a woman, and pain.
Yeah.
You can pick any order you want to go. The trifecta right there,
Yeah, try all three.
Yeah. And oh my God, bro. So by the time I had finally told my therapist, I had been good for a few months. But, you know, I had still been going to therapy for who knows how long. Like when and I was like, yeah, a couple months ago, I was fucking around. I was on bullshit, you know. And it was so scary for me to like finally tell my therapist that, yeah, it took me a while. Like I haven't been clean all the time. I've been drinking, not smoking, like, but I've been drinking. Like I went to Utah. I'm out there. I'm like, fam, the situation. I'm not gonna be sitting here sober, you know.
Yeah.
Doing whatever. And I finally was like, yeah, I've been drinking, and I'm not drinking now, like, but I was just nervous to tell you, you know. But I was fucked up a few months ago. And yeah, like after I told my therapist that, it just felt like a big weight had come off my shoulder, you know. And I was like, shit, you know. That was the final step. That was the final step in me really aligning with living in truth and actually sticking to it, because like for me, being sober, it rolls into so many other things in my life now, you know, where there's some things that I'm not willing to negotiate on. You know, when you smoking, drinking, you kind of, sometimes you're just a bit more movable. And now there's just like a bit more, there's a lot of firmness there. There's, bam, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing this, and I'm not doing that.
It feels really great to say that. I'm on that same path with you. Same, I mean, for me, it was, like I had mentioned, like I pretty much have like hardly drank in my life. I mean, it was just something that didn't really call to me as much. But also, like, I always had alcohol kind of readily available, I guess, like throughout my life. And my, like my mom's side had a decent amount of drinking, where I was like, I'm just going to stay away from that. But smoking, like, that was also very readily available. And that was one where I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to smoke some joints. Like, especially when I was really depressed in high school.
I used to love rolling a blunt, bro. I'm serious, bro. I used to just, for me, smoking, it was just the activity of smoking. Sometimes it wasn't about getting high that was so much fun. It was, I used to roll blunts on a vinyl, you know, because I no, but I'm serious. I really had like had an aesthetic to smoking. Yeah. It wasn't just roll a blunt and just go smoke outside. No, I'm not smoking in the wind, bro. You know, I had a vinyl. I like to roll my blunt on a vinyl because nobody else rolls a blunt on a vinyl. I have this Polaroid of my dog, and I use that as like my scraper because I'm rolling with my dog. Yeah, that's so funny. You know what I'm saying? I always had like multiple Polaroid pictures of the dog that I would scrape the weed, and I'm rolling weed on a vinyl.
Oh yeah, keep going.
I'd always like have a mango Arizona iced tea or some sort of a drink with a cup full of ice, and then like it was just more of the feng shui of smoking.
Yeah, there's a fun ritual, and there's definitely like a vibe to it that's very enjoyable. And I'm not a person who's like, weed is super terrible. Like, I mean, because there are benefits to it, but a lot of them are mostly helpful for people who have like certain conditions or things like that. It's like they could really use it. But for me, I just don't really need it as much personally, unless like there's a spiritual aspect of like shamans many years ago, like some would use it as a way to connect to spirits more. But it's like, I mean, maybe next time I'm doing some sort of ceremony where I'm involving it, you know, then maybe I'd use it. But aside from that, it's like I'm completely clean. Like that was me for a pretty long time. I was like every day, like smoking lots. I started with the pipe, and then I got good at rolling joints and blunts, and then it was I got like a little portable vape where you can like put the butt in there and then it vaporizes it. So it was like
I had a Pax for a while, and then went to I just always just liked just straight blunts.
Yeah,
I love the dab pen just because you just
those hit really intense,
way faster.
Like it does not take too much with those, but it
3 hits and you're straight for at least. It depends on how much you smoke, but you'll be good for 45 to an hour.
Yeah, I mean, and those are crazy too. You can fall asleep and wake back up and still be high. Like, but yeah, I mean, although I talk about, like there were fun times, but it's like, of course, I mean, I'm sure, a heroin addict would have said that there were fun times doing heroin too, but it's like, overall, it probably wasn't that great because I looked back at some of my journal prompts that I wrote, and I'm not a person who's really journaled a lot. Like I'm a thinker. Like I'll think a lot and I would pace. Like I should have probably been journaling instead of just thinking and walking back and forth. But when I did decide to journal, like, I was at the brink where I was like, I don't know what else to do. I'm just going to write this down on a paper. Then I found that paper and it was like, I don't know what to do right now. Like people say weed is not an addiction, but I'm definitely addicted because every time that I become sober, then I'll get like this drive to do something, and then I'll smoke and then the drive goes away. And then sometimes vice versa, like I'll smoke and I'll get all this drive and passion about something, and then I'll get sober and then it goes away. And I just felt like my entire life just kept flip-flopping all over the place, and I didn't know what was going on, and it was making me so depressed because, I mean, I had all this trauma that was undealt with, and it was like the weed was blocking me from it too. And when I did my teacher training, I made a conscious choice and a decision morally that and just for many reasons, but especially on a moral level, of if I'm going to make a career and have a passion of teaching people mindfulness, then I'm going to be present. Like I don't want to be high when somebody is trusting me with the things that they've been going through in their life. It's like something about that just feels very wrong. And then that was like, teacher training was kind of the nail in the coffin where I was like, I'm done smoking. Like I don't really have as much of a draw to it as I used to. It's like it just kind of shifted out of my life, and drinking wasn't really big into it anyway. As coffee and caffeine, like I tried it a little bit, but I more feel a crash than a like uplifting effect most of the time. So put that one away too. So those have been really big for me. Just living a life of more clarity. I feel like it helps when learning a lot of these techniques through yoga, because there really are natural highs. Like that's a big belief that I have. Taking a cold shower, big natural high. And some of the breaths in yoga, I feel a pretty big high when I do Kapalabhati. Not the same one that we do in hot, but the I guess Vinyasa Kapalabhati, or whatever you want to call it, just the other version of it.
Would you just explain what Kapalabhati means?
Yeah, it's skull shining breath, or a breath of fire.
Okay.
And
that's when I go.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, in hot we're doing like the ch ch ch, and we're using the diaphragm, bring it in, and then in Kapalabhati, that's like a hot. Or not a hot version, like a vinyasa. I mean, I call it a vinyasa version. I mean, you could do it in vinyasa, but it's kind of some of the techniques, as you like get deeper into the yogic techniques, like not all of them work as well in a public class. Like Kapalabhati is definitely doable, but you just gotta be careful that someone doesn't like fly snot it across the room or something, because instead you're doing it through the nose. So you're doing like a forceful press through the nose, and you're drawing in your second chakra area instead of the diaphragm. And the way that it works is you do, or at least the one that I've learned so far, like because eventually then I mean there's a whole sadhana of breaths, and pranayama, asana, and pretty much like a full encompassing yoga practice, and Kapalabhati is one of the pieces in there. And there's levels to this stuff where like you may start doing Kapalabhati 15 rounds, and then after 15 rounds, then you engage locks in the body. They're called bandhas. Like if you've ever heard a teacher mention mula bandha, bandhas are basically locks so that you can seal in the prana, like the energy in your body. So there's mula bandha, which is the lift of the pelvic floor, and then there's I think this Uddiyana bandha is like kind of engaging your core, like drawing your navel to your spine lock a bit, and then Jalandhara bandha is the tuck of the chin, and it's like a throat lock. So with Kapalabhati, you the way that I've been learning it is you do let's say like 15 rounds. So you do 15 rounds of like exhaling, and you keep a rhythm. It can help to use a metronome, and then and then once you reach 15, then you engage Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, and then you engage Jalandhara Bandha, and then you do Shambhavi Mudra. So you close your eyes. You can do a mudra with the eyes. Like, there's hand mudras, which are Hasta mudras. Hasta is hand. But there's also mudras like with the eyes. And I think I'm trying to think what else there's mudras with. I know it's the eyes and the hands, but there's a mudra with the eyes where you're looking up at the third eye. So like you engage all of this stuff, and then you just hold the breath for 15 seconds, like 15 counts, 15 seconds. You could do 30 counts, 30 seconds. But after you release that, then I just feel such a big buzz, like a really big natural high. I mean, that's just one example of a practice that gives like such a crazy buzz. I feel like the pranayamas and the meditation, when you really practice it for long enough, like yoga really is a practice that is very applicable to life. That's what's so cool about it. It's like these things that are written about in books about yoga and things that we learn about in teacher training and stuff. It's not just like there's like maybe this mystical chakra thing that's around here, like, and it does all this stuff, and then when you go out in your life, you're like, well, where do I actually use this? It's like, no, this is actually trying to explain to you like all the things that you've already been dealing with in your life, and it's trying to it's giving you the tools. It's giving you tools to deal with pretty much the suffering of just living life. That's why yoga is so important to me, because that suffering is really tough to deal with when you don't feel like you have any tools. Like things like Kapalabhati, cold showers. I mean, cold showers not particularly yoga, but some of the practices of yoga aid in all of these other discipline practices. Like it all comes together to just living a yogic lifestyle.
So last summer, I had this moment where I was taking a vinyasa class,
Mm-hmm.
and like for some reason I was just feeling just like beautiful, not in like a narcissistic way, but just,
I know what you mean.
yeah, I was just feeling like groundly beautiful in doing yoga. And it made me think about my body and how I treat my body, and then how I use my body,
Mm-hmm.
And it made me think of like sexual discipline,
Mm-hmm.
and not being like loose,
Yeah.
not being loose anymore.
I've been very big into that, like lately,
Yeah.
especially, and just in general in my life, because I feel like that's kind of for some people, it's like a neglected topic to talk about, because it's like, sex can be kind of taboo, I guess, to have
Not
just
for
like
me, bro.
yeah.
Not for me, dog.
But I mean, just in general, to have a conversation with another person about some of these things, it's like, it's not as common. But it really is important. Like, I had texted you, like I practice retention, like semen retention, and there are definitely techniques around that, and that does come back to one of the Niyamas, which is brahmacharya, which is directing the use of your energy, or in some translations they say that it's celibacy. And it's so important because, like, yeah, I definitely, like, you know, living your life, you get to know yourself pretty well, where it's like, wow, like I really go pretty crazy when I see certain things. And like, you know, I'll just leave it at that. But like, it does happen. Like, I've noticed it, especially lately. I'm like, I really need to just like tone myself back. Like, because it's, it goes back to that non-grasping. It's like, there's not really a lot of fulfillment on the other end of going through with your sexual desires as much as it feels like there will be. It's like, even when you get to enjoy those sexual desires, like if it's not a meaningful one, then it doesn't really end up feeling the way that you think it will. It's like you get that instant release of like, boom, that felt great. And then after that, it's like, well, you just want to build it up again, and then be like, okay, now I really want to do this. And then it's like, boom, that felt great. And then you just want to build it up again. And it's like, what kind of cycle is this? It's like feels pretty similar to social media or something like that. It's like, oh, I want to scroll for a little while. Oh, I get that dopamine from liking this thing, and then put it away. And yeah, that's been just such a big challenge. Like, I mean, especially being a young male in this society, I'm doing, Amber's doing like a digital detox support group kind of thing. I joined into that because that's something I've been practicing lately, is staying away from YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, like all that stuff, as much as possible. Because I was always a believer in like, YouTube's great because there's like so much information on there. It's like, it's very helpful for that. But also I have started to realize, like, even 1 millisecond of just looking at like one thumbnail on YouTube, seeing some guy like doing, you know, some crazy face and saying like, I did this or whatever. It's like, you could have 30 different thoughts about that thing. It's just like a first impression. It's like, as soon as you meet somebody, then you're already making like all these different judgments about who they might be. And same thing, it's like, as soon as I open up YouTube, it's like, it might be hammering in false beliefs into my mind, like just from me looking at it. And that's kind of a bizarre realization. But yeah, YouTube and Instagram, not as much Facebook, because I mean, it's all just like, it's literally like my yoga stuff is on Facebook, but still, it's like I feel like I want to use it less. But it's like, you'll see randomly like some model will pop up or something like that, and then it may not be the model directly that I'm thinking about, but then maybe it'll like be a chain of like, it'll make me think of someone else, and then it just goes down a really bad chain where it's like, I think that social media is like a really big part of like challenging people with their brahmacharya nowadays. I mean, that's how I felt for sure. So yeah, it's a disciplined practice. It's just like the cold showers, where it's like, you have to find, it's almost like the opposite end of a cold shower. It's like, this sucks so much that I am finding like the discipline to hop in this and just do it. And then this, it's like, this feels so great, I'm trying to find the discipline to stay away and not do it at all.
It's like and that's where, like, I grew up Mormon, you know, and like they would always say your body's a temple.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I remember when, like, during that practice, I was like, I guess, because they say, you know, they say your body's a temple, but for me, from my perspective at that time, it felt like they were really talking to women, you know, because like, how do I phrase this? A woman has access to sex a lot easier than men do.
Yeah. So saying like, don't go crazy.
Yeah, and you know, treat your body well, treat your body with kindness.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember during that practice, I was just thinking to myself, I was like, damn, like for the longest time I wanted tattoos. Mm-hmm. And I love tattoos on people.
Yeah.
I think tattoos look amazing on certain people.
They're super cool.
Yeah. And I was like, you know, I don't think I want to get a tattoo anymore.
Mm.
And I was like, I was in shape, you know, and I was like, damn, like, I like my body the way it looks, like as a blank canvas, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, I think I just like my body unblemished, like without anything on it, you know? And I wanted tattoos that like meant something. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I'll get tattoos anymore, you know? Not that I'm against it, but just for my body, I was like, I just like my body as a blank canvas. Like when I put lotion on, I like how my body looks. And I was like, I think I'll just leave my body blank, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you are an avatar, though. Like, everybody's their own avatar.
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, you get to decide, you know, how you want to build yourself, you know, how you want to present yourself, the traits that you're naturally good at, things that you need to work on.
For sure.
And I was like, yeah, maybe like I think I'm going to get a piercing. I want to get my right ear pierced because I always get a part on my left side. So I was like, I'm gonna get my right ear pierced and then rings. Yeah, because
same sort of style.
No, literally. So the lady that I went to Meadow Grass Festival this last weekend, and the lady Susanna, Two Moon Dream, look them up on Instagram. Go on Chrome. She makes amazing jewelry. She has a bunch of hand rings, and I was like, you know, right ear pierced with a gem coming down.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Left side with a part and a suit with some rings on.
I like that.
I was like, that's like peak. Because I used to want a nose piercing, but I was like, maybe not the nose piercing. I'll go with the right ear pierced and then a gem hanging down.
I love the ears. The ear piercings are great.
Yeah.
I mean, I was something that I just like, it was a no-brainer for me. I knew that I wanted earrings.
Yeah, no, I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to get my right ear pierced before I leave. And then I'm going to, you know, I always get a part on my left side. That's like been my signature haircut is always my left side gets a part. And then I was like, what would I look like with a suit? And then what is Josh fully realized?
Yeah.
You know, 10 years from now. And then obviously you're going to change after 10 years. And hopefully you change. You don't want to be the same person.
Of course. Yeah. You want to change.
You constantly want to keep, you know, adding to yourself. So, but I was like, yeah, the one thing I don't think I'll do is tats. You know, at least right now or for the foreseeable future. And it just was one of those things. And like when it comes to like the sexual discipline too, I was like, damn, you know, I don't think I just want to just be intimate with just anybody anymore. You know, I don't, even if like she's beautiful and all of that, I was like, I don't really want to just, you know, just be, you know, having sex with just all these different girls anymore. You know, I was like, damn, man, you know, because I had an experience where I was like, you know, we hooked up and a girl was she just stressed a lot. She stressed a lot, you know, and I would listen and just like, but I was like, damn, I don't feel good, you know, because like,
yeah, it's a melding of energy.
That's what I was going to say is like, it's not a bad, but she just stressed about all these little things that I was just like, I don't think I want to do this because I'm starting to feel that, you know, and I'm like, I was just like, I'm pretty chilling, you know, like I've got a direction I'm going.
Yeah.
Right? And it was just a lot of like worry and understandably so, you know, but also I can't do anything about what she stresses about.
Right.
You know, and I was like, yeah, fuck. This is starting to affect me now because I was intimate with you. You know, and it was one of those moments where I was like, damn, you know, I get why they say like sexual energy transmits, you know, and I'm not saying like I try not to like be just out here, you know, and I was like, yeah, she was very attractive. But I was like, I don't want to do that again. Cause, it's just not good for either of us to keep doing that, you know. So
Yeah.
I like cooled it off, and I was like, yeah, we could be chill, but just I don't think I want to do this again. You know?
That's a good way to go. I mean, that's like, I'm definitely at the point in my life where I'm like, which is funny to say because like I'm still 20, but I'm like, I'm at the point where I'm just like, I would prefer a much more serious relationship. Like, not that I haven't felt that way in the past, but like I felt like I was a much more immature, like sexually and emotionally, and I still am kind of immature in some of those regards. I mean, at least when it comes to a relationship, just because it's like it's kind of trial by fire sometimes with relationships, where it's like you got to go through some really like tough ones to start to kind of get a grip, at least in my experience. And but like I am really making a conscious effort. Like, I want to make my relationship meaningful. Like, I want it to be a great one. Like, and that's just, you know, whatever it's going to be is whatever it's going to be. Practicing that non-attachment of like, it doesn't have to be like this or that. And I'm not going to grasp, especially like
I did.
I've done that too, like
Especially monetarily, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like with money, like years ago, I was like, I gotta make money. And it was just crushing, you know, to where it was like, you're not making money, bro. You're not making shit, you know? And then like, I did a 7-day fast the week of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I set a goal that I was like, you know, eventually I want to make $1 million in a 12-month cycle if I'm ever going to drink again or smoke or do anything again.
Yeah.
And I was like, within the next 10 years, I'm going to hit this goal. I wrote it, and I haven't looked at it in a long time, and in a while. I haven't looked at it. Maybe I don't even know if I've opened that page this year, because I had a page where I wrote down all the things that I want to accomplish in my life. Yoga teacher training was one of them. Quickly, hopefully I can check that off. And then just like things I want to do for people, wrote that in there. Things I want to do for myself, you know. And one of them, I was like, I want to be a multimillionaire, you know, before I die. And I was like, shit, I'm trying to do that shit in the next 10 years, bro. And I wrote it, felt super confident about it, and closed it. And I was like, okay, we go do the work now, you know? And it's not so much about like making the multi-millions or whatever, but it's setting a goal and going to get that motherfucker done.
Mm-hmm.
Getting that shit done, bro, you know? And I was like, do a 7-day fast. You really want, you think shit is easy out here. It's not. But you know what? Like, if you can take away food, which is something everybody loves, we wake up, first thing we want to do is eat something.
Yeah, especially the week of the Super Bowl is like extra.
Literally, you know, like that whole week, I was just on water and broth, or like,
it was like bone broth.
Yeah, and I didn't eat any food, and I did the whole fast. And the reason why I had to do the fast it's embarrassing, but like, I was talking to a girl, and I was like, I'm considering staying sober. And she was like, well, you don't have to. You're doing just fine. You got like, and I was like, damn, I almost folded because of a chick. Mm-hmm. Like, I almost gave up on this goal over a female, you know? And I was like, if it's going to be that easy for me to lose sight of this shit, then it's a wrap. Like, I'm never going to hit this fucking goal. You know, because it's like, as soon as a beautiful woman says you don't need to do this, you're like, oh, maybe I don't need to. It's like, bro, like, these girls are going to come and go. You know what won't go away is your goal. Mm-hmm. You know? And so I was like, yeah, I'm definitely not going to let that happen again. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do a 7-day fast. At the end of this, I will know that I'm ready. So did the 7-day fast. And at the end of it, I was like, okay, I can do this shit. I can handle it, you know? And I stopped stressing about money. I had a moment where it was like you just started laughing maniacally because you're like, this shit is going to be insane.
Yeah.
And it's like just the concept of money and just the fact that like we stress so much about it and, you know, debt and all of that shit. And I was like, fuck, like, I'm really okay. You know, like things keep happening very well for me. And I'm just waking up and just doing shit, doing regular shit every day. And good things keep happening, you know? And I was like, I need to stop trying so hard to like pulling and trying to pull so hard to make something happen. I need to stop doing that.
Yeah.
You know, the Wu Wei. You've heard of that?
What's that?
The art of not forcing.
Mm.
Yeah. It is so good. Go on YouTube and look up Alan Watts, The Art of Not Forcing. Wu Wei. So it basically means, it doesn't mean you don't do anything, but it's just you're not, it's like if you're trying to, you know, foster a relationship, you're not forcing the relationship to happen. You're not like trying so hard to pull and grasp, like you were saying, to try and make it happen. Instead, you let it naturally evolve and you let it be what it's going to be. You know, and whenever after yoga at my house, I'll just listen to this. I just listen to it over and over and over and over and over, because it's one of those things where you have to take it in multiple times. You have to just smash it into your brain so many times for you to really appreciate the way he explains it, you know?
Yeah.
It's like for someone who tries to be virtuous. People who are virtuous are not trying to be virtuous. They just are. You know?
So there's an easiness of letting the flow of energy just go through.
Yes. Instead of like trying to actively direct the energy and you're forcing this to happen, you're trying to force that to happen. It's just, you know, you put effort in, whether it's you're doing something or you're actively not doing anything. It's still an act of something, right? But you're just allowing the energy, you're just channeling it. You're not trying to make energy, you know, you're not trying to force energy to go in a certain direction. Instead, you let it come through you, let it, and then you just direct it, you know, and you don't try to force anything. And that's the way Alan Watts explains Wu Wei.
That's really cool. That's a very important concept, like one I could definitely use. Like because that's been a big thing for me. You know, like, yeah, of course we've been talking a lot about the grasping, like it's, just, yeah, grasping at money, grasping at relationships, because you want to like have control over it. Like that's where the grasping comes from. But, there is an ease of letting go and watching the flow happen. I think it comes with patience, and then patience, you need to have some discipline to have that patience. So it goes back to just being disciplined about it. And just allowing that flow. Like that's something I could definitely use and needed to hear. But yeah, I'd like to go to that what you were meaning to mention about chemistry and compatibility.
Yes, I was just thinking that, bro.
Mm-hmm.
So, just a heads up, I didn't come up with this. I watched this video maybe in 2018 where this guy talked about chemistry versus compatibility. And I have basically, it's stuck with me ever since. Because I feel like this kind of leads into relationship chat. Okay, let's do it.
I feel like we've already kind of went
let's do it. So this guy, I don't remember it because it's one of those where I watched it in passing and it's stuck, right? But he was talking about, chemistry could be like meet a girl on a night out, hit it off, sparks, bam, 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 and you guys just sexual tensions there, conversation's good, maybe you go home with her, do whatever you do at the house, right? Great chemistry, it's vibes versus compatibility. And it's not always about agreeableness, because you don't really want somebody that you agree with all the fucking time, bro.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's not like you're clones of each other.
Yeah, bro. Like, what the fuck? Like, this is real life. We're not going to agree on everything. But it's the alignment of goals, the alignment of way of life that you want to live, Yeah. And I almost said something that was so arrogant to like my ex, where I was like, I don't really want to worry about like, it wasn't really, I don't know, but I was like telling her what I wanted and what I'm trying to do. And I was like, we can fall in love later, because I was like, this is what you want. This is what I want. Let's just go. We can fall in love later. Right. Because I was like, now obviously the relationship didn't work out, but it felt a little arrogant for me to say that, but at the same time I meant it. Now that's because I'm scared of like emotionally like being vulnerable with women in that way.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just have it be this is what we do. We know what we're doing. Like, let's just go. Now over time, those emotions evolve and get deeper. And when I thought about that, it's always like stuck with me because now, I tend to go for, am I compatible with this person? I just try to get the girls to talk a lot. I want to know what they're thinking. Like, what are the things you think about? Let me hear it. Right? Like if you meet a girl that's very career oriented, that's great, right? Versus a girl that may be, not so much, career is not the most important thing. Right? And, I had a conversation with a girl, like we're friends. We've been friends for a long time. And she was like, because I was asking her like, hey, in your last relationship, what were some of the good things that happened? And then what were some of the things that you felt weren't so healthy for your relationship? Because I'm trying to understand, how to be better in a relationship.
For sure.
And you need to get a woman's perspective on that.
Yeah, it's helpful to see things from a bunch of different angles because, yeah, I mean, we only have our one point of view where it's like, I'm just going to go into this with my best of intentions and let's see what happens.
Intentions alone is not good enough.
Right.
So I was just asking her, hey, like, for you as a woman, what are some things that like you feel like guys ease up on once they're in a relationship? Or, and one of the things that was very common is, bro, I don't want to just fucking watch TV all the time.
Oh, yeah. That feels like such a waste of time. I had friends who were doing where, my friend would invite me over and he'd be like, let's do productive stuff. And then he'd just be like, want to watch, like, it'd be some cartoon or something. And I'm like, this is just like the biggest waste of time.
Yeah. And like, that was something that she said that I was like, very, very true. Like it's when, the relationship gets a bit flatlined, whether it's both of you working, you come home, you're tired, you just want to watch TV. And then,
I think it's okay to watch like a movie together, like once in a while.
Yeah. But she said, just not having that routine of we're just fucking watching TV, going to bed.
It's like,
that's it.
It's like your nervous system is running the show and you're basically on autopilot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's just not any intention behind it. Like that's been a really big piece of my practice that, like my yoga practice that I've been working with, is just putting intention behind every single movement, because I've been really working with my spatial awareness. Like I feel like I can be kind of rough around the edges when it comes to that stuff, where like when it comes to just like doing something, it's just like, I want to do this, so I'm going to do it. And then it's just, I do it without really thinking about anything else that goes along with it, rather than being very intentional and being very like, this is what I want to do. So let's weigh everything out, and then I'm going to do it with that ease, that flow. Like I'm going to, there's just, it's more a sensation or feeling thing. Like it's kind of harder to put into words, but it is a feeling of just taking more time and care in life, and practicing putting that intention into as many things as possible, because I feel like that helps with my intention in relationships and in my life in general. Like all the things that I want to do, it's like if I'm intentional about just putting a drink down or like moving a block or something, then that can gradually flow into other pieces of my life where I become very intentional about some of the really big things that I do too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just love that about yoga, that there's that aspect of like, you can practice so many different things on the mat. And for me right now, it's practicing, allowing that flow and allowing, that intention, and not just being like a barbarian about things.
Let me ask you. So for you, what with a woman, what do you think is compatible with you?
Same hobbies, same like drive, like someone who really motivates me a lot. Someone who has a lot of compassion, but also has a lot of drive of their own. Those are some of my favorite traits. And someone who challenges me, I'd say, is a big one, because that helps me.
In what ways?
In ways of stepping up my own life. Like if they're very like if they have a lot of drive to get things done, then it feels like it lets me kind of see that it can be done and step up to the plate and do that for myself, as well as like just seeing that kind of drive and that vision. It's something that I really appreciate. Yeah, it's just yeah, I'd say those are probably like the biggest compatible features that I really enjoy.
I had a moment that made me go, okay, this is one of the things I really, really love about like a woman that I'm into.
Mm-hmm.
So this girl and I am planning a date, and I was like, can we do all the bam, bam, bam? I'm planning a bunch of stuff in one day, right? And she goes, Josh, pick 2 or 3. We'll do those, and the next time we can do that, right? And I was like, no, but I want to do all of this stuff. I want to go do this. I want to go do that. I want to go this. I want to go. And she's like, Josh, let's pick a couple things. Pick 2 or 3. Let's do these things, and then next time we'll go do that too. Okay? Because you're wanting to do a lot, and I don't know if I have the energy to do all of those things with you today, you know? And I really liked that. Like, because, you know, when I'm by myself, I just be up and bouncing around and out and about, right? But it's like you think of like a fast-paced pendulum. it just swings back and forth, right? Or it's
Yeah.
like shaking like this, and then she slowly steadies me out, focuses it up.
It's helpful it's helpful to find that balance in a relationship.
Yeah, like focus up the energy.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not that my energy was unfocused, but I just wanted to do a gang of shit. She was like, Josh, let's just pick a couple things. Let's do 2 or 3. We'll do those things first, and then next time we can do the other stuff, right? And I really like the end number 2. Like, she put in effort, not with like planning the day, but she was like, no, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do this, I'll do that, right? And I really like when a woman puts in effort,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm sure you've probably experienced where, you know, you feel like you're trying to plan a bunch of stuff and it's just only you trying to plan everything. And it's not that you're looking for effort, but it's appreciated when...
Yeah, I think most guys have probably been through that kind of experience where it's like...
Hey, even for women too, you know? It's just like...
It's just a human.
Yeah, we can only speak from our perspective and experience. But I think that's why I got so excited to plan so much, was because she was like, no, I'll set time aside today, or I'm going to block this off. This is our day. We'll go do this. Let's go. And I was like, if you're going to do that, then I'm going to do it up for us.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I got so excited. And I'm like, we're going to go do this. We're going to go do that. We're going to do this too. And she was like, Josh, let's just pick 2 or 3. You know, I know you want to do all these things, but let's pick 2 or 3 and do that. And I think those are the moments that are like underappreciated of like a woman.
Yeah.
You know, kind of, like I said, channeling it, focusing the energy. And yeah, I mean, I really like that about a woman that can do that, you know, because, and I try not to be difficult, you know?
Yeah.
Like I've like this whole week I've thought about it. Like, am I difficult to deal with? Like, if like there was a woman that was dealing with me, I'd like try to like play devil's advocate. Like, am I a difficult person to deal with? You know? And I want to say no. I really want to say no, but I don't know. You know, and
it's up to the person.
Right. Because it just depends on what they naturally just... It's like when you meet a girl that is shy, but you just know how to just maneuver with that, and that's just how you groove. Or if you're with a girl that's energetic and you know how to move and dance with her, you know, and it's not a lot for you. It's not a, damn, you're being too much, you know, where someone else may, man, this is a lot for me to try, not to handle, but to try and understand and try and, you know, walk or, you know, motion with you, you know? And so I don't know if I'm difficult, bro. Like, I really think about that because I don't know. I mean,
well, it definitely seems like one of those compatibility kind of things where it's like for some people, like your personality probably works fine. For some people, it doesn't, you know, and it's probably the same thing for me. It's just, like, I think that right now where I'm at, like relationship wise, how do I want to word it? Need to take time to think about how I say it. There's definitely a relationship that I'm working on cultivating. Like, I think that there is a really wonderful opportunity, with someone that I really like, but, I think that it's kind of up in the air where it'll go or what it'll end up being, but that's just part of life, you know? And that's where the non-grasping is like kind of at its peak in my life right now, is like, all of my relationships have kind of just like been like, I want to dive in head first. And even with this one, but it's taking some time to slow down and pay attention, be intentional, cultivate more of my life and see what it's like in a relationship instead, to just to get that new experience. And all you can do is just put the energy in the right direction, like you were talking about. Let it flow the right way, and just let the universe work through you. And I believe that everything happens for a reason. And yeah, that's kind of why I didn't want to get like too big into the relationship stuff either, because it's like I don't really have a lot of words to very easily explain like kind of where I'm at myself right now.
Yeah. I'm kind of like, I'm not in limbo, I'm not in limbo. Like I feel like I'm pretty, right now, or going forward, I've been pretty direct about everything,
Mm-hmm.
But also being direct doesn't mean that like you're saying shit. It's just being very deliberate in behavior.
Yeah.
And like, I really like when a girl knows what you're about and they don't try to change you.
Mm-hmm.
Let me do the changing.
Right.
Like, you don't meet a girl and then go, dang, like, I want you to be quieter.
Right.
Like, for me, and not that I've really had anybody try to change me or anything like that, but like when they know this is how he is, I don't try to tell him what to do, I just let him be. That's like one of my favorite things. It's just like when a girl just knows like what you're about and they just let you be.
Yeah.
Because
that's a great thing. It means you got a special person.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the most freeing thing, bro.
Yeah.
To know that you don't have to, like, be walking on eggshells. You don't have to feel like, fuck, like, I can't do this, I can't do that, because that person may be uncomfortable with it, It's great when someone is secure in themselves so much that you don't have to change what you're doing to make them feel more secure about what they've got going on.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because I like to just be out and about. Doesn't mean I'm gonna fuck shit, but I like to just be out and about sometimes. I just like to go do shit. I may hit you and be like, will you just go to the park with me? If not, I'm still rolling up to this park with me, whether it's with my friends and I. And it's not well, what park are you going to? Who are you going with? Listen, I told you I'm going to the park. You want to come with me or not? I think that's great. Like, for me, the definition of love is freedom.
Yeah.
That's what love is to me, is to know that, and there's a bit of arrogance in love. It's like when you take so much pride in someone that you're like, of course that's
a little bit,
or you know what I'm saying, or it's like of course that's my girl. She does whatever she wants,
right?
You know what I'm saying.
Mean, that's the best feeling, like the best feeling that comes with it. But it's just part of being human. Like, we do have, like, there's just a side of us where everybody wants to feel loved and accepted, and I feel like, we've brought up the parigraha so many times, but also it's kind of, a lot of times it's been in like this is very challenging, but also there's a very like positive aspect to it as well, of this wealth and abundance. And it comes to, I feel like with cultivating a really good relationship, for me right now, it's like practicing that abundance and that wealth of not even money wise, but just like as a person. Like I am a wealth of a person, and I don't need to feel that way. Like that this girl is going to be like going out with all these other guys or whatever it is, because that's insecurities speaking, and that's based off of fear. But it's better to be based off of love, and to kind of come about your entire life in that frame of mind. And that's just been a really big realization for me. And I've had to really step up my game. You got to step up your game with like I feel like the more you got to step up your game for a relationship, the more worth it is.
Yes. Because what scares me, bro, is, sometimes your efforts may not be rewarded. And it's not that you always want your efforts rewarded, but it's just the fear of that being a reality.
Exactly. That's definitely hit me before too. I mean, that's why I'm like setting it in stone, like abundance, wealth, like I am the wealth, and I attract amazing things into my life. Like,
yes.
And continuing to cultivate and build that, because in that sense, it's like I'm giving my 100% to, like, I'm not worshiping the worry or the fear. Like, that's the same trap that I've fallen into many times in so many relationships, where it's like you worship the fear and the worry, and the more that you worship that, the more you keep creating that. And it's almost, I mean, in the Bhagavad Gita, there was a part that had, it's like all these yoga things, I know them, but I just really badly don't want to butcher them. But I know that it's basically like your thoughts become your words become your actions become your truth, and your truth becomes your destiny. Something along those lines. But if you cut out everything in between, then your thoughts become your destiny. So if you're worshiping worry and fear all the time about a certain outcome, then you're just solidifying your destiny. So it's like, I'm solidifying my destiny to be a good one. Like I am ready for it to be a happy ending, to be really good. And that happy ending could be any number of outcomes. Like I trust that the universe is going to make it be exactly what it needs to be. But I feel like I don't want to be too caught up on the relationship stuff. Like there's too many complications with that for me.
We're young, and we ask a lot of questions.
Yeah. I think
I ask a lot of questions now. I used to hate asking questions.
Oh, really?
I used to hate it. I did. I was not into asking questions like that. I just wanted to watch shit, but I didn't want to ask questions, And now I'm just like, no, I'm going to ask the questions.
Yeah.
All kinds of questions.
Questions are amazing. They say a good question, this I got from Kristen Mack, a good question leads to many other questions.
It does. It's like opening Pandora's box, bro.
Mm-hmm. That's what's so fun about it.
That's real shit. Because you get one answer, and this leads into religion too. Because like with religion, there's a lot of like, don't ask. This is the way of life, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
When it comes to religion, is, spirituality is about asking questions, but religion is about the answers given to you. Just go with it. Yeah. It's like when people, don't question God. If God is real, I don't know, but it's like, why not? If, let's say God is a teacher. Teachers want questions.
That's true.
The best students always ask questions. Most of the time. Or they're just mutes. They just sit in the back of the class and they're good-ass writers.
Yeah.
But it's like, we're supposed to ask questions about the universe. We're not supposed to be on this rock to just, if the Wright brothers don't I'm assuming the question is how they started asking, how do we get up to the sky like a bird? You know, that leads to airplanes being made. You know, and it's, you know, how do we make transportation faster? Trains become a reality. You know, how do we conserve energy? Solar panels, electric cars, you know, something. But it's always asking questions. And, you know, to not question God would be stupid if God is real. To not question the universe and ask questions of the universe would be dumb.
Yeah.
And I'm just at that point where I'm like, I'm not. But for me, I think it's because, like, I'm okay with death. I'm okay with it now. So I'm like, I'm asking all the fucking questions. You know, I'm not put here to just fucking live in ignorance anymore.
Yeah, I've thought about it a lot lately. Like, we're just here for a human experience. Like, there are ways that we can liberate ourselves and reach towards something greater. And I believe that that's part of my path, and everybody has whatever is on their path. Like in yoga, it's your dharma is your path of what you need to do.
In dharma bracelet.
Very cool. Yeah. So it's like you've just got that to fulfill, and the rest is like, this place is a playground. It's like, why would I want to sit in worry and sadness and pain and fear all the time? It's like, some of those things will come up naturally because that's part of life, but it's like, I don't want to create that for myself. It's like, I want to create all the things that I love and enjoy, be around all the people that I love and enjoy, and do the things that I care about and am passionate about. Like, I'm ready to create those things, like use the divine wisdom of the universe to create these things, because every single one of us has a piece of that Godhead in us, and it's just waiting to be tapped into. And for me, there were just so many layers on top of that, basically, that just hid me from it. I had no idea how to even see or find it. I guess that could be kind of a good segue into how I first started in yoga.
Yeah, let's hear it, bro.
This is actually, it's an interesting story. It's just very uniquely the story that is mine. This is what happened for me. I kind of already gave you the baseline earlier about what my life in high school was like, and I really I had a lot of challenges when I was younger, like not really any particular mentors. I mean, I had my parents, and you know, they taught me stuff, which was good. I mean, like, I won't discredit that for sure, like lots of valuable stuff there. But like, parents are kind of the expected thing that you should have as a child, and as you're growing up. But beyond that, that was really like, that was the extent of my support, like throughout all the way to high school, basically. I mean, aside from peers, I was never, like, I made connections with teachers here and there, but never enough where it's like, I'm going to really sit down and like see you and talk to you about this. Yeah, that created a feeling of not enough, loneliness, like a lot of the things that we just don't really enjoy a lot as humans. And then once I reached high school, then, you know, it's still just kind of ragtag groups of people where it's like, most of my friends I considered acquaintances in high school. It's like, we're just here to pass the time. And after getting out of high school, then that was kind of when I hit my lowest depression, because I got to such a point of, why am I even here on this planet? And what am I doing? Like, what am I here to do? Why have I just endured all these years of school and pain, and it feels like all of it just was so challenging. And at the time, it had felt like it didn't amount to a lot. Like it was just like meaningless pain and challenge. But that getting to that point was a real blessing for me, because up to that point, all I had known is like hang out with friends, play video games, smoke weed, like just anything in that same vein. And I started to get to that point where I wrote those notes and I was like, this is getting out of hand. Like I feel like I don't know where to go with this, and I don't know what to do at this point. And I ended up doing basically what I'll call a soft reset of my life. Like everything that I had taken on and learned and experienced so far, it was still there, but pretty much everything else that was part of my life, I was like, anything I could let go of was just boom, it's all gone. Like any of my friends from high school, all out the window. Any of my friends that I played games with, talked to, done. Playing games in general, not even doing that. The girl I was talking to, I was like, done. All of it. Like anybody that I was in contact with practically, I just was like full wipe. Like I don't want my life to go this way. I don't like where it's at, and I'm ready to change this. So that was a really like, that was the true point where I hit the lowest of low, was when I wiped it all. And it was just right back to the baseline. It's like, I've got my family and that's about it. And that after that point, that was when I started to slowly change, and I started to realize, okay, I can eventually start to find a little bit of a path here. I had known that I wanted to do teacher training because I took a yoga nidra back here in this studio when I was like 13 or 14 years old. And that was a profound experience that I remembered ever since. And after starting to get out of this depression, then that was actually, I think I had tapped into that power of manifestation and created it. Like it created some sort of path of like, it is possible and it will happen. I had a book that was all about little prompts of like goals in your life. What do you want to do? Where do you see yourself in these next years? And I just remember writing, I'm going to be a personal trainer and a yoga teacher, and I wrote all the details and things about it. And that kind of that darkest moment that I had reached was like maybe like 3 or 4 years ago now. So it's like that's still relatively recent. And that was when I decided to get into the gym. Of course, that was like the best outlet that I could have asked for. It helped me so much. And then from there, then I eventually I started in college with the personal training, and then it brought me finally to Cambio, where 1 year I was like, I don't know how I'm going to make enough funds and do this. And then the next year I was like, I still don't know, but I'm just going to do it this time. Like, I'm just going to make it happen. And that was kind of the best decision that I could have made. Because this is just a completely huge shift of my life. Like going from no support and no direction to having a huge toolbox and a huge amount of support from a really amazing community of all these different people who care about you and really want to see you succeed and give advice. Like I've really gotten to see two different ends of the spectrum of that in my life now, after living in that loneliness for so long and having such little support It's like I've really had to kind of readjust myself to having that sort of thing. It's like I'm just not used to it, and it truly is a blessing. Like, I'm so happy to be in this community. It's yeah, I mean, that's kind of the long and short of how I ended up coming here and then becoming a yoga teacher. Just because that was like, I didn't really have anything else that I had devoted myself to that I felt was worthwhile aside from the gym, where I was like, yoga is the thing that I can just full force put myself into. And I had remembered, I was like, what's going to be my purpose? What do I want to do? And personal training and yoga teaching, two of the big reasons why I picked them, was the idea of like, beyond anything else, money or just anything that goes along with the actual job. It's no matter where I'm at in my life, wherever I am in the world, you could be in prison and you could still do yoga. So it's like, I decided yoga and fitness would be the safest bet, because I know that I'll want to do them for the rest of my life. And I know that I'm passionate about them, so I'd love to teach them to people. So if I learn now while I'm young, then I can just cultivate it for the rest of my life and get really great at it. And then I can do plenty of other stuff down the line as well. But then if anything, no matter what happens, I have a support system built in. Like, it doesn't need to be people at Cambio. It can be the yoga that I learned at Cambio.
But yoga connects you to so many people who understand what you're trying to do, or at least the philosophy that you live by, the way that you live by,
Yeah.
Like, maybe not fully, but they'll at least like understand what you're trying to do, And that's definitely one of the best things about yoga, is like, when you meet other yogis, there's an immediate connection there. Without even doing yoga together, there's an immediate connection that is formed,
I love that part about it. Like, it's so hard to find any place where anything like that is really happens. Like, unless you're part of, there's definitely a feeling to being a part of a community and part of a group like that. But a lot of the time groups are kind of more exclusive, where it's like, you're part of this training group, I guess. Like, maybe it's a like a jujitsu gym or something like that. It's like you pay to be there, and then you go through the trials of like getting good at jujitsu, where it's like there's a lot of benefit to that. And I think there's, just as much a community. But like, the awesomeness of this community is that it's built on accessibility as one of the pillars, where it's like, I could invite any of my friends or family and they can just immediately pop right into the community and like get the same amount of love and care as another person in the community. So it really is a wonderful thing what the teachers have done here. And that's why I'm so happy to be a part of it. And it does give me a deeper sense of meaning and purpose, like not only for the cultivating of cultivating all of the relationships that I have in my life, like every single one of them. This just has amplified it like tenfold. I feel like it's just one of those feelings where it's like you follow your intuition and it's somewhere that you need to be.
This place, I'm going to be forever indebted to this place, Like, no matter where I go, this wall, like, when I first came here, taking my first class downstairs, and then finding, my first time when you get up on the stairs and then you turn the corner and you see how beautiful this place is,
Yeah.
And all the wonderful people that we get to communicate with on a daily basis. Like, this is the kind of place you never forget about, And so I'm super grateful, one, for yoga, you know, for helping me align myself, you know, position myself and understand, you know, what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are, and, you know, knowing what I need to work on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's one of the best things about yoga is like, you know, it strips your ego, even when you don't want it to, because you start to think about, damn, what, I reacted wrong over here. Okay, I need to ease up over on this side. I'm doing good here. You know, my pace is okay. I don't need to push too hard. You know, sometimes you show up and you just get a good stretch. You don't have to get a deep stretch. You know, and sometimes your body doesn't need a deep stretch. It just needs a little movement to get going.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I just want to let you know, bro, I'm really proud of you, man. I'm super proud of you for doing it, for getting it done. You're in 300 hour. You're going to get it done. You know, keep going, you know.
Yeah, thank you.
You're going to do just fine. And through doing this, you're going to meet people who have other passions that are going to connect with you, that you're going to, you know, connect with. And it's going to lead to many opportunities, you know. Like, we're both pretty young and time doesn't wait for any man, you know. But, you know, all we can do is just keep going, you know. So I just want you to know that I'm super grateful that you made time for us to do this, to have this conversation, to get to know each other more. And, you know, I think you do great as a teacher.
Thank you.
Just keep going, you know. It'll pay off. It'll work out the way you want it to, you know.
Yeah.
Just don't lose sight of what you're trying to do. You know, as long as you keep it in sight, you know, and your body's gonna just move towards it. You know, you just it can't be out of sight, because then you won't know where to look. You know?
Keep that vision, keep that flow of the energy, that divine creation.
Yes,
keep it happening.
I'm proud of you, bro. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, man. And yeah, it's fun to hop on this podcast.
Yes, bro. Thank you. This is the Ojas podcast. You know what Ojas means, right?
What?
It means divine energy.
Oh, that's funny. Well, then, yeah, that's divine energy.
Bro. Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, so to end it, would you give us a song recommendation?
A song recommendation?
Yes, any song. I know I didn't tell you ahead of time, but
yeah,
I feel like that kind of is nice, spontaneous.
Yeah, spontaneity.
Yeah, spontaneity.
Something like that.
Yeah. So give me a song, bro.
Believe by Lenny Kravitz.
By Lenny Kravitz?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, man. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I'll go with Fly Away by Lenny Kravitz.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah. I'll go with Fly Away by Lenny Kravitz. Yeah. Yours is Believe by Lenny Kravitz. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, dog. We'll end it there, bro. Thank you for doing this, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much for watching episode 7. The number 7 is a lucky number.
It is. That's most people's favorite number.
7 and 3, bro.
Yeah.
Lucky numbers. They make 10. So thank you so much for watching. We'll end it there, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Bye.
Yes, yeah.
All right.